Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Jo. This is their number SH74545 640 standard weight steel-based full mortise single acting spring hinge is what this is. So the SH7 stands for their spring hinge. The 4545 in the part number is a reference to the size. That means this hinge is 4.5 inches tall. It means it's 4.5 inches wide. The 640 is a reference to the finish. 640 means two things. It means that it's a steel-based hinge and that it is in an oil-rubbed bronze finish. This is certainly very complementary to oil-rubbed bronze. This is much more like an antique bronze rather than oil rubbed. So the bottom line is this is a finish that is certainly going to be very complementary with anything oil rubbed, but I would personally not call this oil rubbed bronze at all. I would not call it 640. In my opinion, this is much more accurately called 641 finish or US 10A. Which would be a satin bronze that's called blackened. So it's blackened satin bronze is what this is. That's because you can kind of see in here. So blackened satin bronze, satin relieved and clear coated. This certainly has a clear coating on it. You can see evidence of it down here in the corner. But the point of the matter is this. I wouldn't call it 640, I'd call it 641 US 10A. But it's certainly going to be incredibly complementary to oil rub bronze. I don't know that I would be particular about not using this on oil rub bronze, but the fact of the matter is know what you're buying, and that's the bottom line. Anyway, moving forward, this is a single acting spring hinge. This hinge is going to be appropriately used in instances where you need to self-close a door and where you're not using other means of controlling the door, like a surface-mounted hydraulic door closer, floor-mounted, overhead concealed, things of that nature. This is also inferred that it's a standard gauge, standard weight hinge, which means the leaf thickness is 134 thousandths of an inch. The screw locations are what they call template pattern, which is the common pattern for steel doors, certainly, steel frames, wood doors and wood frames. If it's a 4.5, 4.5, you're going to see this template pattern, it's called. Speaking of those holes, you're going to get all wood screws and all metal screws in a complementary finish. This hinge from Jo is available in a few different finishes: prime coat, polished brass, and I'm referring to my chart, satin brass, polished chrome, and satin chrome, in addition to this oil rubbed bronze, antique bronze, really, blackened bronze. This is considered grade 1, meaning that it's been tested to 1 million life cycles or 1 million cycles. It is single acting, can be used on either left hand or right hand doors. Self-lubricating bearings, those are going to be concealed bearings that are considered self-lubricating, not requiring any maintenance. Easy spring tension adjustment, we'll get to that in a moment. Sold, they typically come 2 in a box, but you can buy any multiple that you want, and they are indeed sold as each. So, there are links below this video. Let's look at them now. There's a link below this video to a document called Template, and that gives you the physical dimensions that are important about this hinge, including the location of all the screw holes, should you want to confirm that that is accurate for your application. There's also a link below this video to a document called Product Catalog, and that is very handy because it allows you to review this item against all of Jo's sister products as it comes to hinges, both spring and standard. Now, speaking of that, you can see that they have electric transfer hinges from here, residential hinges, anchor hinges, or reinforcing pivots, they call them. What's important to know is that we'll get to the quantity of spring hinges that you'll use on a door in a moment, but you can mix and match this with a ball bearing. Use a ball bearing hinge if you're going to have, let's say, 1 or 2 spring hinges on a door and 1 or 2 or whatever of ball bearing hinges. The vertical axis of pivoting is compatible with a standard Donjo ball bearing hinge, so no concern about that. The next link is a link called instructions, and that's where we're going to pick up with the meat and potatoes of this video. How many spring hinges should you use? Well, it's going to be based on, and we're always talking about doors generally up to 3 foot by 7 foot in size. If you're dealing with a 70-pound door or up to a 115-pound door, generally 2 spring hinges will do the job. And if you get above 115 pounds and up to 150, go with 3 spring hinges. Now, it's a 4.5, 4.5. You'll be certainly working with an 1 3/4 thick door and probably not a hollow core door. I'm a fan of all spring hinges, not for the obvious reason, but for this. I have found when I have more spring hinges on a door, I am left with greater residual spring power or greater stored spring power when the door is open. That means that I can be more predictable, more reliable in my door operation, getting the door closed. The additional spring, the stored energy in the spring, allows you to tailor the door a little bit better, even though a spring is, in my opinion, not the proper way to control a door, because there's no control over just a spring as it's releasing its energy. But when you've got more stored spring tension, you can set the tension on your spring such that you can get the door closed and the crucial thing latched without having to turn the tension up so high that you run risk of damaging or destroying the hinge or getting the door to slam, even to the point where it will slam and bounce back open. If it's a fire door, you've got 2 obligations. It has to be self-closing, but it has to be self-latching as well. And if you're not doing one or the other, you don't technically have a fire door. I liken more spring hinges than less to a tugboat. They don't go very fast, but they can pull a lot of weight. And keep in mind that spring hinge has got to overcome the weight of the door, the zero inertia, getting it moving closed, overcoming the air pressure of all the surface area, 21 square feet of surface area that it's hitting, and the resistance of the latch bolt as it hits the strike plate, and to do so in such a way that it will predictably latch every time. I have also found that as the seasons change, you might have these spring hinges on the front door of a 3-flat building. In the middle of winter, when the air pressure is lower and there's no windows open at all, your tension on the spring hinges can certainly be different than what you would encounter in the summertime when you've got different air pressure, you've got windows that are open, things of that nature. More spring hinges on a door gives you more, a wider range within which to work to get good reliable control over that door in terms of it closing. There is, in conclusion, a link below this video to the manufacturer's page, and from there you can pull up not only the individual sections of Donjo's catalog, but their entire catalog as well. You might be interested to learn that they do a lot more than hinges, and if you know the name Donjo at all, you would know them not for hinges most likely, but for their door reinforcing wraparound plates and their latch protectors. But as you review the catalog, and if you have more than an occasional need for trim and auxiliary hardware, familiarize yourself with Donjo, you'll find that they sell a lot more than just those 2 core product lines. If you have any questions on the Donjo SH74545 640 single acting spring hinge or any other Donjo product, please feel free to reach out to us.